Union of the Unknowns, a podcast dedicated to the exploration of modern culture, presents a weekly digest of current events that may have slipped past your radar. This is not your mama's news. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Not Your Mama's News, presented by the Union of the Unknowns. Exactly, like what he said.
Sorry.
I'm your host tonight, Keel Thor. With me are the Unknowns. She's a woman of high sophistication. Ashley, think, change, repeat. And
Hello.
there she is. And she's a true Sheila from the land down under, Stella Q.
Hello. We are both the definition of women.
Yes, quite.
Indeed.
On the Not Your Mama's News show, we, the Union of the Unknowns, like to bring you high-quality news and information from around the world that showcases the clown world in which we live. Tonight, I'd like to start off with a story about some horses from Stella. How does that sound?
Yes. I didn't want to share this link because it's a little bit graphic in the sense that nobody really wants to see a dead horse. But I'll tell you why these horses are dying. And this is not an Australian story. I thought I'd wander over the drink for a moment into your territory. I just happened across this, actually. I can't quite remember how I found it, but I just totally by accident. So basically, I'll just read the article at first. It's the best way to explain it. The headline is, why are all those racehorses dropping dead at Churchill Downs? Because... Oh, you've heard about this? Okay, because since April 29, they've been wearing powerful wireless monitors called Stride Safe. Okay, you haven't heard about this. I can tell by the face.
Stride Safe doesn't sound very safe to me.
I know.
Yeah, I saw a blip, Stella, but I'll tell you what I really thought it was, that they started vaccinating the horses. But I didn't read the article.
Let me continue then.
Yeah.
The horses may be vaccinated too. We're looking into it, but these new high-tech gadgets, the sort of thing that thrills Bill Gates, are likely the main cause of death. This spring at Churchill Downs in Louisville, home of the world-famous Kentucky Derby, hosts 3 meets every year, during which there are horse races 4 to 5 days a week. So it's fairly intense. Plus, of course, they've got their morning training. I'm just going to sort of shorten this a bit. So beginning on April 29th, and in every race on every day thereafter, every horse was fitted with a wireless device shaped like an iPhone that fits into the cloth underneath the saddle of the horse's on the horse's back. I mean, where else would you put a saddle? Silly thing. Horses also began wearing these devices this spring during morning workouts. It's worth reading all this bit. This Stride Safe device monitors the horse's movements 2,400 times per second throughout the race, sending 2,400 pulses of radio frequency radiation, RF radiation, every second through the body of the horse. Now listen to this. It also contains a GPS component that communicates with global positioning satellites. It also communicates with the RFID chip implanted in the left side of every horse's neck, ensuring that the chip also emits radiation throughout the race. And because every racehorse wears horseshoes made of aluminium, which is one of the best conductors, the frequencies that are conducted from both the Stride Safe device and the RFID chip through the horse's body are absorbed and re-radiated by its 4 shoes. Each horse then carries not 1, but 6 continuously radiating antennas throughout each race at Churchill Downs. So they've got the device, they've got the chip in their neck and their 4 feet, okay? So with 14 horses normally competing in each race, there are 84 antennas among the animals, all in close proximity to one another, running around the track. Any comments before I continue?
84, is that one of your special numbers, Stella?
It didn't strike me, no. But
Okay.
maybe it is. I'm not fully into numerology.
What's 8 plus 4?
12.
And
It's not
I
11.
did
And then 2
want to
plus
share.
1 is 3. There you go.
Well, that's true. Everything usually comes down to a 3, 6, or 9.
Gentleman Skeptic is glad that it was apparently not a not safe for work horse story that's been making its rounds. So he was relieved by the dead horse story. That's dark, Tim. That's dark.
We'll have to talk later. Uh, so I shall continue. On April the 29th, 2023, horses racing at Churchill Downs began to die during races or suffer severe injuries during races that required euthanisation. So many horses have died this spring that on June the 2nd it was announced that the spring meet at the Downs would be suspended as of June the 10th. Officials at Churchill Downs are panicked because horse racing there, it doesn't make sense, it's probably an AI article. Horse racing there have died in much larger numbers in spring than ever before. So basically, they're losing a lot more horses. Officials have carefully inspected the track and every part of the racing grounds to make sure that there's no sort of hazards. There's no reason for horses to be prone to injury or collapse, they've found. But they have the same blind spot as the rest of society. They treat wireless devices and the radiation they emit as if it doesn't exist.
Yep, as no big deal.
Yep, it's like blatantly staring us in the face, isn't it?
Yes. So you're saying whoever wrote this article or the team that put this out is investigating because they think that maybe mRNA injections could be a factor as well?
There's some horse racing officials that are investigating just the track to sort of try to process of elimination, basically. So it's like, it's not this and it's not that, but they haven't quite got to it's that yet, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll just continue here. The horse named Parents Pride simply collapsed and died for no apparent reason during a race on April the 29th. No drugs were found in her system and no poisons. She was running normally before the race. No abnormalities found in her heart, brain or lungs. There's a whole bunch of a list of the awful injuries and what they had to do to the horses and what happened to the horses, which I'm not going to read out because it's just it's really sad.
It is sad.
But anyway, here it sort of comes back to New Zealand now. There's a connection. We have known for decades that horses' lives are shattered by radio waves. Hearings were held in Christchurch, New Zealand, and racehorse trainer Penny Hargraves spoke out in an interview published in 1998. An FM radio tower in Orahuia, their Maori names, they're hard to pronounce, had such devastating effects on her 90 horses that she was forced to relocate them to a different part of Canterbury. All her horses were affected, some more than others, and 2 died. This is her description of what happened to them. They were very nervous and jumpy. They all seemed to have sore feet. Horses who had travelled by trailer for years were losing their balance while they were travelling. There were several hot spots around their yard that they found that the horses were very volatile and more susceptible and they were hurting themselves. She goes on to say, our valuable colt had serious health problems and walked as if his feet hurt. He could not bear to be shod. We had many vets look at him and try to solve his problems, but without any satisfactory answers. We finally turned him out in a paddock which had a large hay barn and trees between him and the tower. Within a month, he had no problems. They put him back in his old yard. The problems returned.
Whoa.
There's an experiment.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. And I have been thinking about, what does it do to us to have our cell phones around us? Like, I have a very bad habit. Sometimes I have trouble going to sleep with a chattery mind. So I'll have my phone playing an audiobook for a while before I fall asleep, but it's right beside my head. And then, Sir Tim was saying that this sounds similar to the theories that cell phones were pumping out enough radiation to cause tumors in the 90s. And I certainly don't doubt it. I really don't.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
usually when I sleep, I like to have my phone inside my mouth. And I just sleep with it up like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can kind of look down and watch the videos because I can't hold it because it drops when I fall asleep. But if I keep it like that.
That's not good for your health, Gil.
Am I the only one that does that?
It must get quite wet. You need to put it in the microwave for a couple of minutes and just dry it out.
Yeah. Toaster oven, I find, works better for those purposes.
So I'll just finish this last little bit off because there's a bit at the end which might be good for one of our listeners to hear. Okay, so we had weekly problems. Oh, the blacksmith is talking here. Blacksmith gave evidence at the hearing on the effect of the radio waves on our horses' feet, which was quite handy. The aluminium conducts electricity, and their feet had changed shape, and they had huge cracks where the nails went and were very sensitive inside, poor old things. We had weekly problems with infections that we'd never had before, and our vet bills were horrendous. There's another side of it. Nervous and jumpy racehorses with sore feet and lack of coordination. Exactly what had been happening at Churchill Downs during the spring meet this year. Last bit. When I learned what was happening at Churchill Downs this... okay, so this is... I think this is the person that wrote... Oh, this is the lady that I said at the beginning. I can't go back at the moment, but whatever her name was. When she learned what was happening at Churchill Downs this spring, she sent an email to Dr. Jennifer Durenberger, suggesting to her that the stride-safe devices which had been deployed at Churchill Downs for the safety of the horses were instead killing them. She has still not responded. A veterinarian and the Director of Equine Safety and Welfare at the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority, or HISA, she has been leading a review of the records of the horses that died. So this is the bit for the audiences. If you are, or if anybody you know is, a veterinarian and you have had experience with horses and would like to help in some way, you can contact Arthur at cellphonetaskforce.org and get involved with maybe bringing some of your knowledge to the situation. Perhaps you've had the same thing. So I just wanted to point that out because that's that's pretty damning evidence in my books. I can't, it would be a hell of a coincidence if there was something else going on, wouldn't it? What else could it be? You're muted.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I absolutely agree. I mean, it would make me think that that's definitely part of it. And then the other factor is if they were vaccinated, for sure, because it's a whole died suddenly mystery all over again, isn't it?
It is, and if they've been vaccinated, I wonder whether it's mRNA technology and all that sort of, or nanotechnology or what have you that they've got in those vaccines. Because if that's the case, it's quite possible that the 5G is actually magnifying things. If that's how it's supposed to work. But that's just a conspiracy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just something crazy conspiracy people say, Stella.
Yeah.
You mean the headline from a year from now?
That's the one. Yeah. Horseshoes I'm quite prepared to stand in. So that's sort of sad. I mean, it is very sad, actually.
Oh, it's very sad, yeah.
Poor old horses. And the poor things, having sore feet. I mean, they're on their feet all day. It's very rare for a horse to lay down, and if it does, you've generally got to be a bit worried about it, I think. So,
yeah,
I wonder if they used, iron to make horseshoes like they used to back in the old days. Would that make a difference?
Well, that's what I thought. I thought they were either iron or steel or something, but now they're saying aluminium, which I guess for a racehorse kind of makes sense because it's nice and light, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But it'd be nice if they could use, I don't know, carbon fiber or something like that. I wonder if they could.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Something that's not metal and conductive.
The other thought that I had is that I would hope that these owners of these horses would take this very seriously because they spend huge money on these horses for their breeding, their training, all of that stuff.
It's a huge industry, horse racing.
Unfortunately, a lot of trainers do see their horses as purely a commodity, but then you've got the other ones that are absolutely in love with them and, do everything they possibly can, and it's their life and what have you. Yeah. So it depends. Because I know a lot of horses, like if, once they start not winning and everything, they're just churned out to pasture or maybe to the, pet food factory.
Glue factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, gentlemen. Skeptic. That's right.
I would think if you're a wealthy person and you've sunk a huge amount of money into a stable of horses, you'd want to keep them as safe as possible, Yeah. So that just makes good business sense.
And Jen in the chat over on Rumble. Hello, Jen. Hello,
Hey,
Drizzle. Jen. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Hey,
Jen said, yes, metal horseshoes are much better. So that does make sense.
Okay.
Right, because I'm just wondering, I don't know enough about electricity and all that stuff to really know. Maybe there's someone out there that can help. the fact that the horses are shod with metal shoes, does that mean that they're grounded in the sense of that would make it all worse? Would that make this situation worse, like a circuit? Do you know that, Keel? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't think that would make any difference. I mean,
Okay.
unless
wasn't sure.
they're somehow able to. I mean, a horse's hoof is not conductive, so.
Well, it is
Yeah.
if it's got metal shoes on.
Yeah, but even if it was metal underneath, unless the metal was up into the nerve or the fleshy part of the foot, the bottom of the horse, I don't know if it would make any difference. You know.
Yeah, so you're saying
But
that like the hoof or the cuticle is not
the hoof
conductive?
itself is going to insulate against any electricity, I would think, but maybe
don't know,
not. Maybe
because, yeah.
the nails drilled up far enough or
Yeah.
could conduct it up in there, and maybe it's moist inside of a horse hoof. I don't know.
Yeah, and
it's
like
hard
we
to
are
say.
electric. Our bodies are electric. I mean, all bodies are, all organic bodies are electric. So would that possibly, you know, if the nerves or the veins and things were close, would it conduct to the iron in the blood? You know, I don't know. Can
If
someone
only
help?
we had an expert here that could
Oh, if only.
tell us these
A
things.
nurse and a electrician, preferably combined.
Yeah. Brucey,
Where's Bruce?
we
Rosie,
need
we need
you.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So, well, I guess watch this space. We'll see how quickly it gets all covered up. We'll see if something else comes out about it, perhaps.
Because sometimes people with money on subjects that they care about are a little less cooperative. Only if they're getting paid or benefit in some way out of sight to go along with the program. Do you see that? Do you see them not caring about very expensive assets, right? So I think it's possible that these people will try to address the issue. Now, even if they correct it, it's possible that the whole radiation issue will get covered up, though, because they don't want us knowing, you know?
Yeah,
So-
well,
Yeah.
the Stride Safe people, you know, I don't know how big that company is. I probably should have looked into that, but who knows how much influence they might have on trainers and owners to, you know, bit of
Right.
bit of
Like
quiet
an-
money.
Yeah, like an AMA or a WHO or a CDC. Like, we don't know, but it's possible. Yep.
mhm.
Ooh,
So
that's
there
a
we
good
go.
question by Sir Tim, Gentleman Skeptic. I also wonder if they did get popped with the mRNA, how that would affect the breeding champion lines. If I had to guess, I would say it would be extremely negatively. I've seen some really sad stuff, heard recently a firsthand encounter about the effect that this stuff is having in humans. So in the
Exactly.
birthing and everything. So
Yeah, if it's happening to humans, it's probably happening to animals as well. But if it's
yeah,
the same technology, I really don't know.
I
my
think it
guess
is.
would be that it
mean,
is. Yeah.
The technology for use in vaccines has been around for several years now, not just with COVID, but I mean I believe it goes back to the 90s when they really started investing in the kind of research, the mRNA research, and then they developed it into vaccines for animals, and they've been using them for a
First.
while. But it wasn't until 2019 that they actually injected humans with it, as far as we know.
Yeah.
So
When my little
that's how the
dog,
story goes.
yeah, when my little dog was quite sick, I did quite a bit of research about vaccines in animals. Not to the ingredient extent because it was before 2020 and I wasn't awake to the ingredient sort of thing. I knew that they probably weren't that necessary. I was worried about the ingredients in the sense that she had pancreatitis and stuff, and she had a fairly sensitive system, and but I didn't go into it fully. But what I did see was there was this this one vet that seemed to, I just sort of found him on the corner of the internet somewhere, and he seemed to be quite hard. I don't know. It seemed like he wasn't sort of being promoted or anything like. And I did actually write to him, and he only told me the information that he actually absolutely had to tell me, and he didn't want to sort of. So yeah, maybe I don't know what his story was, but the information that I found on his website was basically that you really don't, unless you're in like a hot spot of rabies or something, parvo, kennel cough. And this is not medical information for your animals. I'm just telling you what I read. That he was saying that annual injections are not necessary. It's more like a big pharma thing. So
Yes, it's way over the top.
just think about it, folks. Just do a little bit of research and reading yourselves and make some wise decisions.
Yeah, so I want to chime in on that as well because I have also done research because in the regular care of animals here in the States, my experience has been that they are always on top of that. You get reminders whenever it's your annual vaccine time, whatever.
Yep.
So, and they have a different schedules, annually, or with the rabies, it's like annually at first, and then I think the next time it is every 3 years. But I have also done some digging in that. So basically, my understanding is that once an animal has been vaccinated against rabies, they should forevermore show titers showing immunity against rabies. And you
Right,
can
okay.
have them tested for titers, right? However, that matters not to the vet nor the state. So you may even have some vets that are like, okay, we'll respect that, but the state doesn't care. So in an example of if your dog happened to be involved in something like bit somebody and they were not on the up and up with their rabies shots, then they would make you pay like 6 weeks of quarantine or something crazy like that, or put your dog down.
Yep.
Even
the
though
other
they
thing
had
is-
shown no signs of rabies.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, totally. And the other thing is that you can't, take your dog to a kennel or, a holiday place where you go on holidays and your dog gets. You can't take that unless they're all up to date with their shots.
Exactly.
It was just like a child going to school, isn't it? It's just the same thing. So you gotta
Yes.
bring your card and keep it all up to date, and comply.
Yes, and I looked into it about cats too
Glowing minds.
because of my cats, and there are even shots that they give them at the very beginning, and this may be rabies, but whatever it is known and associated with causing cancer in the part of the cat that they were injected in. So for example, they in this particular one, I wish I could recall, I think it may be rabies, but they would do it in the tail. So if they had to amputate, they could just cut something off that wouldn't totally disfigure the cat. But anyway, so in case there's anybody out there who just got a new kitten, Drizzle,
Isn't Kent?
yes,
Yep.
keep that in mind. And if I had to guess for sure that Drizzle would be questioning the shot agenda.
I reckon he's probably all over it.
Yeah, for Briar Rose there. So anyway,
Yeah,
it's an interesting story. I'll be curious about the follow-up on that, Stella.
The other thing I just want to say while we're on that subject, I remember that the flea stuff, I don't know if you guys have the same stuff over there, but over here in the last, I don't know, probably 10 years, there was a flea treatment that came out that you just put about 3 or 4 drops on the back of their neck, and it covers them for 2 months. Now, let's think about that. Normally, you'd have to give a pill, the annoying, try to get the pill down the throat of a dog or a cat, which is annoying, but, it's convenience. So if something lasts 2 months, that must be a reasonable amount of poison going through their system, through their blood. I could never do that because to me, common sense was just saying, it just said, no, don't go anywhere near that. Yeah. So I never did. But fortunately, my dog was not a flea dog. Never had a flea in her life. So, maybe just keep them healthy. They might not get fleas. I don't know. Keep your lawn mowed, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Spray your yard with chemicals instead of your pets.
Well, with my dogs, they haven't really had issues with fleas, but they do get I think it might be Interceptor or something like that. So it's like a chew that's supposed to help in that regard. Yeah. And especially one of ours, because he had heartworm before, which I guess that's not really, right. So it's heartworm and flea and tick. And she told me, now who knows, and I haven't done the deep dive on this, but the vet said, even if your dog ate this entire pack, it would be safe. Like it's the safest flea and tick treatment out there, as opposed to what you were saying with the poison oil that gets put on like between the shoulder blades or the collar.
Let me guess, the main ingredient of that is ivermectin.
Yes, it is.
Actually, I just remembered something. When I put some, oh, that's right. It was one, those collars that you can buy that are supposedly flea collars. Like they got chemicals in the collar. My vet recommended that we get one of those. It was like, oh, really? Because we did live near the bush, and it was about ticks and stuff actually. So it was like, okay, well, it was sort of like balance up because she had a couple of ticks, and it's quite scary. So I thought, okay, I'll try one of those. Probably, I was pretty ignorant back then, really. And put it on. It was within a couple of hours, she started it was obviously she was allergic to something in it because it was almost like foaming at the mouth, basically.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa.
Some kind of reaction. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't recommend those things either. I mean, they're poison. They are toxic poisons. Diatomaceous earth works pretty well.
Yes. Oh, and I was going to say that, so on this topic, Mercola has so I think most of our listeners are probably pretty familiar with Dr. Mercola and his natural health approach or trying to be healthier outside of the medical system. Well, he also has a sister foundation run by Dr. Karen Becker called Bark and Whiskers. It was Mercola Pets, but now it has been rebranded to Bark and Whiskers. And there's a lot of information on there about the pet vaccination, the vaccine schedule, what you should try to do if you have to do it. So just a heads up in that regard.
Yeah, great. So you can sort of prepare them for the situation a little bit.
Yes, and try to at least space it out, make sure, and I think they even give some supplements and a treatment with the understanding that, yes, this is over vaccinating, but with the law being the way that it is, it makes it a little more difficult for pet owners if they do want to, if they have to board them, if they have to be seen by vets, because some vets won't see them unless they're on the up and up with that. Yeah. Tim. Yeah. Noresco, I'm not sure about that one. Didn't they pull Noresco off the market because it was killing dogs? I'm not sure what that is.
It must be.
What did you say that you were using?
Interceptor, you said?
Oh, Intercept, that's right. Yeah, I think that might have been what I had decided on in the end.
Yeah.
Is that like a doggy sort of meaty chew thing?
Yeah, and they don't mind it.
Yeah. She didn't mind it.
Did you try one?
I did not, but if I got hungry enough.
TCR.
No.
You did try one of the dog chews.
No, I didn't. Oh, and shout out too, because Jen was saying that his dog Archie does not have shots. Is that your dog or is that your
nice.
Well, he has a dog and a cat, so I'm not sure.
So I just want to end this story with saying, remember, everyone, convenience kills.
Unless it's really convenient. And then it's worth it.
Not a fan.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for that, Stella. Remember, we did a story a while back about a guy up in Kentucky, I think it was, and he discovered a whole pile of old gold coins in his backyard.
Yes.
All right. So I've got a somewhat similar story coming out of Japan. There was a construction project that underway that accidentally stumbled upon a cache of 100,000 ancient coins that were all stacked up in a big pile. They were in strings of 100 coins strung together with rope. They've examined 334 coins thus far. The oldest they found is a bronze Banlang minted in China some 2,000 years ago. The most recent one they've looked at is dated to 1256.
Wow.
Where did they find these at again, Keel?
This was out of Maebashi, Japan.
Oh.
So I assume that these coins had a hole in the middle of them, did they? So that's how
they
strung along the rope?
They're all round with a hole in it, and there's a rope strung, and they're in these big strands of 100 coins a piece, and they say there's 100,000 of them in this pit they dug.
Wow. That's amazing.
So who
knows?
I
wonder who has the rights to them then. Probably the Museum of Japan, I suppose.
It would be Japanese government, I would assume.
That's a fairly good assumption.
I was going to say the English government. They're stealing
Probably
everybody's
eventually.
shit.
Well, maybe.
Vatican.
I don't know if they could lay claim to ancient Japanese coins, though. I would probably by just default go to the like the symbolic emperor, whoever's part of the royalty there anymore.
Jin, maybe Jin can tell us this.
Yeah,
Did ancient Japanese coins have holes, or are they ancient Chinese coins? Because I'm wondering if they might have been not Japanese, perhaps during a sort of a battle or something.
No, yeah, it could be. The one that it mentioned is from China. It's 2,000 years old.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So they weren't actually Japanese coins. Well, that
Yeah,
one wasn't.
perhaps they could have been stolen.
Oh,
or
yeah.
something.
Well, you know, during an invasion or something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they used to fight each other fairly often, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Japan and China have been at each
China,
other's
yeah.
throats for millennia. Let's see if I can find a more detailed thing about this. 2,000 years old.
Samurais always make a big fuss about fighting, and the ninjas just get on with it.
Yeah. If there ever were actually ninjas, I've read articles that suggest that there weren't any actual real evidence that ninjas existed in the way that we think they did.
Tell Masaki Hatsumi that. Yeah, it was interesting actually, because the samurais used to really take such great care of their swords and everything, whereas a ninja would quite happily just lean it up against a tree and use it to get up on a branch or something, like a tool.
Yeah.
So Jen says that yes, the Chinese coins would have the holes in the center. The Japanese did too, but the Chinese began doing it earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I thought actually.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
So handy having Jen around, isn't it?
So it pays to dig around in your backyard because you never know what you're going to find.
Definitely.
I can only get about 5 inches. The rest is like concrete.
Yeah. What is it? Stones? What is it?
Or clay, right? You've got a lot
Like
of
orange clay. Yeah.
Really? That's what we have in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's very similar.
And in Georgia. I was listening to one of Monica's shows.
That's right, Gentleman Skeptic. You are correct. The idea is that gingers... I'm sorry, Keels. The idea that gingers wearing all black is from Japanese no plays where they'd have to appear out of nowhere. That's right. And also disappear back into nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, Keels.
Yeah, no, I was just saying... I was listening to one of Monica's shows today, and I'm, of course, like 3 weeks behind on things. But they were talking about... She's interviewing a guy about the history of currency in the world and stuff. And... they were talking about before the FDR ordered everybody to turn in their gold for dollars, and Monica was wondering whether or not you could get in trouble if if she found a box in her closet that had her dad's old gold coins that he was supposed to turn in but never did, and could she get in trouble if she tried to sell them or something? Because back in the day there was huge fines and
I see what you're saying. Right.
in time for not doing that. And I read an article years ago about a couple that people who were rummaging through their grandfather's or great grandfather's stuff, and they found a bunch of gold coins that had been stolen. Now, they don't know if it was their grandfather, whoever, that stole the coins, but they were like uncirculated federal issue gold coins. And so they said, "Oh, wow, awesome. We found these. We're rich." And they went to go sell them at auction, and the government caught wind of it, and they said, "Nope, you have to return those to us." And so they lost them all.
Mongols.
Okay, so note to self: if you find old coins during that time, then have them melted down.
Yeah. STFU.
Or figure out what they are first, because they may not be legally obtained coins.
Yeah.
But you got to make sure you know what you're You're trying to offload.
Then what you can do is go to a railroad track and just tape them down one at a time and get them flattened out.
I've done that.
So instead of getting done for stolen coins, you're also getting done for rail derailment, train derailment. So.
I've done that before with pennies. Put pennies on the rail.
Oh, yeah,
and
every kid's
those
done
things, they get vaporized.
I know, it's incredible.
It's just gone.
It's incredible. So I did want to just go back really quickly. Jen said there were ninjas, Keel. Okay. And
he is one. Excuse me.
Yes. So.
And I used to.
I know that. I know he's one now. I'm just saying maybe I've read that maybe the historic idea of the ninja that we have in our heads now was not really ever true.
Maybe we can talk about that on an episode sometime. And I will also say that, speaking of asking if things are true or not true, I have been wondering if the story that we were told about Harriet Tubman is actually true, because so much of almost everything else that we have been told is a lie. I hope it's true. Okay. I just want to get that out there. I'm not a hater.
I have no idea who Harriet Tubman is, but is that a quick explanation? Or
Yeah. Do you remember we were talking about it, I think, on the WTF forum, that she was a slave that escaped to freedom.
Right. Yes.
And then she founded, or at least was working, what is referred to now as the Underground Railroad. And she would return and save slaves that wanted to be saved.
Mm-hmm. That's about 40 slaves she saved, apparently, if I remember.
That was
we were talking about.
That was my recollection. Okay. I will also just say, as you know, I told you my brain's fried, so don't hold me to.
All right, we won't. Just take that back.
You're kidding. Okay, so Jen thinks that she may be fictional as well. Well, I had that vibe because, right, we talked about in the war propaganda, we had the Ghost of Kiev, we've had like these all female squadron of Israeli soldiers, and I was like, what if it's the same thing? What if it's the same thing? I hope it's not
the narrative.
But
we are
now,
watching fiction unfold in front of us. We're watching this happen, and it's amazing. It is. It's truly.
It is amazing. Yeah.
They are creating history. They're shaping history exactly the way they want the future to look back on us.
And the thing is, we can't really know for sure if this stuff is real or not. We know the Ghost of Kiev was not real, but maybe there was an incident where there was a pilot running around and then just grew out of proportion, and then the propagandists in the Ukrainian government said, oh, let's do something with this, or who knows how these things start, or maybe it was just completely made up out of nothing.
I think it's the old playbook, because they are very well aware that every now and then the people need a hero.
Yeah. So Drizzle also chimed in, and he said that he would not be surprised to find out that Harriet Tubman is propaganda.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I'm curious about that.
50% chance, really, isn't it?
When did she start hitting the newspapers? Because if it didn't happen until well after the Civil War ended,
that's a good question.
She may be real, but if it was going on right when, the Emancipation Proclamation was laid down, then that could just have been propaganda to try to drum up support for the war effort and all that kind of stuff.
So Gentleman Skeptic said Tubman also threatened to shoot runaway slaves that were having second thoughts, allegedly. So here's the thing, that I think that this whole topic is very interesting. I know it's a little off topic for us. However, it's relevant because we talk about, history on this show, and obviously it affects where we're at today. So I actually saw a couple of mind-blowing things in the last week, and they came from Owen Benjamin. So I told Stella about this already, I think, but basically he was saying, what if all the genocide stuff that we've heard about is just more fear propaganda for us to have that hanging over our heads, right? Like, not that people haven't been hurt, obviously, but these huge numbers, what if that isn't true? And he even said that a certain very hot topic that happened before during World War II, that was not in the encyclopedia. I think it was either the 1968 encyclopedia or something.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's some real questions about this stuff.
Was it in the
Okay.
1967 encyclopedia?
Okay, you get what I'm saying.
Okay, so I'm just going to look for, while we continue, I'm going to look for a video that I came across recently, which had a really interesting, it was a guy who had some really old newspapers. I think it started around about 1918. And he was showing us very clearly, it was the New York Times, and he'd show us very clearly the dates. It was about 6 newspapers. The dates and all these different articles, and they were all talking about 6 million of those people were, in trouble and sort of asking for money and to help save them and all this sort of stuff. And it just went on and on and on. This was all before World War II. There's article after article, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million. All through the years, right up between, I think it was 1915 or 1918, right up to 1938, I think it was, which was the year before Hitler went to power. So it was it's sort of like an old playbook, that number. Anyway, I'll find it. It's really worth looking at. It's quite quick, so it's a couple minutes.
Okay, good. And while you're checking that out, also, Gentleman Skeptic, Sir Tim, said Coco the gorilla apparently didn't know sign language. She would only make the signs after the doctor that was trying to teach her sign language would make them. See, we have been so lied to. And he also said, look at Paul Revere. Most people think he made the whole ride warning of the British invasion. And meanwhile, me sitting here not knowing myself, I'm like, he didn't?
Yeah.
Damn it!
Wow,
They got
it's
me
just
again.
amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
I think these kind of mythological stories are generally based on some aspect of reality. I think there was probably a guy named Paul Revere that maybe he led some effort to warn people, but of course the story of him riding on his own, running through the town with a bell in his hand or whatever the story is, and the British are coming. I'm sure that's not true, but just like any legendary story, it's blown out of proportion and stuff. But I think people existed, and
yeah. Okay, so Drizzle said,
I like cool stories like that are fun to believe in, whether you really know they're true or not.
Well, that's fair. I don't mind knowing the story, but I want to know the truth. I don't want to have my foundational thinking be based on and especially if we're getting into genocide stuff, that's significant. I mean, that factors into the human psyche, and we know that they want us afraid, right? And that being in fear as people, it physically has an effect on you. It makes you more subservient. It makes you more likely to believe that. I'm amazed, honestly, that the number of people that died during COVID wasn't 6 million. They had to make it 7 million. And they literally will tell you it was 7 million people that died from COVID. Yep. So there's a theme here. There's something really interesting. All right. So what I wanted to say was that Jen is agreeing with Owen. Drizzle said the further you get from any historical event or the period, the less reliable that history becomes, for sure. Jen thinks that was very sage-like. And then Drizzle said that Paul Revere was an op. And Jen said weaponized empathy.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. Sorry,
Gentleman Skeptic. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Stel.
I just put that link in the wrong place. I put it into the YouTube thing, but I'll just put it in the private chat. But I found it, so yeah.
Perfect. I'll grab it. And then Gentleman Skeptic said there were relays. Revere only wrote a portion of it. Longfellow made him famous. Well, interestingly enough, there was also a similar kind of precedent in this case. So why is Paul Revere the only guy that got famous for it? Well, we also know that there was somebody that came before Rosa Parks. She was a 15-year-old girl who did the protest, right? But Rosa Parks was the one that got famous for it. Why?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, I think Rosa Parks was
wise. There's lots of wise about lots of things.
Maybe she was more photogenic.
I think she
maybe.
Was,
or she knew that she had a connection at the newspaper, and the guy was like, "Oh, I know her."
Did they pay her off?
Who knows?
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Could be anything. I suppose I could share my screen, could I?
Oh yeah, sure. I do have it queued up if you want me to. But okay.
Close
All right.
those other windows though first before you do that. This is a family show, Stella.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the warning.
So, Gentleman Skeptic said 4 men and a woman made the ride. Paul Revere, Samuel Prescott, Israel Bissell. I'm sure that's of the Bissell vacuum dynasty, right? William Dawes and Sybil Luddington. Thank you for that. Okay. So now I'm going to
Tim on board too, isn't it?
Yeah. This
Always
is I'm glad for these folks in the chat. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. I love the interaction. I think it's so good. Thanks, guys.
I do too. I really appreciate everyone chatting with us. It's great. It's like having more more of a team even. Okay.
So we probably shouldn't show the first bit maybe. But 12:43. Let's go from 12:43.
12:43. Okay.
It's worth a watch. How are we going for time?
Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
John Paul.
Yeah, the Jesuit.
Oh, there we go. That freaking guy. All right.
Okay. We should
just,
be
yeah, just hey, I believe in rolling the dice.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're
shine a light on these dirty bastards.
3 men don't ask for permission. All right, here we go. Let me know if you can hear it. Hopefully you can. Cool.
Nope.
Seems like it's buffering.
No. Oh, okay.
Oh, it's buffering.
Yeah. But wow.
Pope John Paul II, he'll always be the Pope to me.
The good thing is that this guy reads out the articles and everything, so our audio listeners will be fine.
Nice. Let's see.
Would you like me to do it from my computer, perhaps?
Maybe, because seems like it's giving me
tabs.
a little. Yeah.
All the dead horses.
We need a sign up that says technical difficulties, and then pops back down when it's going.
So, Gentleman Skeptic said that Claudette Calvin was the original for Rosa Parks. Thank you for that. I did not know her name. He said the civil rights movement didn't use Calvin because she didn't focus test well. She was a pregnant teenager, if I recall. So the replicated the incident with they replicated the incident with Parks, who was friends with MLK. I
called it. Okay. I didn't know any of that.
Yes. Okay.
I really hope that I can share the audio because I'm not 100% sure.
And while you're bringing that up too, from Rumble, Drizzle said because Rosa Parks was chosen to play that role, so that goes with that. Jen said Rosa trained with communists prior to, and she was an Eastern Star. And he said he thinks he learned that from Drizzle. So that's
wow.
Cool.
Very cool. Yeah. All right. Let me bring this up. Tell me if you can't hear it. There won't be any audio. Oh, yes, there is. Can you hear it?
Nope. And mine, for whatever reason, is still not cooperating.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why we can't hear it from.
Well, let's move on to your story, Ashley.
Okay, so my story.
You're
actually,
seething.
Just before we do, I'll put that in the show notes so that if anyone is interested, they can go there and look themselves. Okay.
That's a whole. Honestly, maybe we should do that as a whole live episode so we can have some interaction when we do it. That's a fantastic discussion that's worth diving into.
I think so.
So I do have a video that I want to share, and let's hope that the sound will work here.
Britain, in some parts of Britain, the arrest rate for offensive speech has risen by 900%. The Times reported that British police are arresting up to 9 people a day. Law enforcement is encouraging people to report non-crime incidents, and here I was thinking that New York had a rat problem. Which is why, on my tour, I will be attempting the death-defying stunt of performing the most offensive set list of all time. I will be doing all of this while smoking cigarettes on stage, wearing a leather jacket with a patch on it that says offend, and asking the audience if it was too soon after every single bit. I will start this set by yelling the N-word for 10 minutes. I will then proceed to draw the Prophet Muhammad for 8 straight hours. Abortion, 10 minutes for 10 minutes against. After that, I will take a devil's advocate position on Cosby, school shootings, and police brutality. I will then proceed to deport 3 immigrants. Time frame of that bit depends on the helicopter. I will attempt to list off the number of genders using only my thumbs. I will then wheel a handicapped man down the stairs, deny COVID existed in its entirety, rank races best to worst, and for my finale, I will be bringing 4 dogs on stage that I have taught a special trick. And if the cops are listening, you can try to stop me, you British fucks.
Love that guy.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think that that's pretty relevant in today's day and time, and I'm going to tell you why. I have a couple of stories that actually they are they're not twins, but they are sisters, okay? So first of all, Nikki Haley. We've talked a little bit about Nikki Haley. She has been on my shit list because she has recently risen to prominence by trying to get us all into World War III. She's dying for you and your kids to go die in World War III. She's a war pig, okay? And she's been posting war propaganda all over Twitter, ex-Twitter. So I have been memeing her. If her stuff comes up, then I will share a Nikki Haley war pig meme or some other meme that I have made about Nikki Haley just dying to get you into World War III and sending you and your kids to die. So the article is that Nikki Haley calls anonymous social media posts, quote, national security threat, end quote, will force, quote, every person, end quote, to be, quote, verified by their name. Okay, so she is absolutely pushing the World Economic Forum narrative. So if anybody out there, and I don't think anybody that's been chatting with us has any doubts, but if anybody out there thought that Nikki Haley was your friend because she's Republican, because she's conservative, you're wrong. These people all work for the same people. Nikki Haley is basically Jordan Peterson going after, quote, anonymous troll demons. Okay. So this is a very troubling. I mean, it's funny because it's predictable, right? And it's very funny because I am under an anonymous account for @UnionUnknowns, and I have been trolling her every chance I get. And I was wondering if people like this ever read their if they ever read their responses that they get from people that are calling them war pigs and propagandists and puppets for the military industrial complex and all that stuff. So, go ahead.
You can hear my breath. I'm going to guess I'm going to guess that she probably has a team of people doing this. I don't think these people ever do their own tweeting because, you know, they're very important people and they have their people. You know, people have people. So it's like marketing. Oh, hello.
Is that you, Kill?
Warpigs. Nice. Probably 10 bars won't get us in trouble. So yeah, look, in the interest of national security too, that's hilarious because like war isn't, so...
Exactly. Yeah. And then
hypocrite.
Over on Rumble, Drizzle said Ryan Long for the win. Agree 100%. Chin said for real, no Yamaka, deport her now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Gentleman Skeptic said Nikki Haley wants people to use their real names. Her name is Nemarada. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's a great point. Okay.
Was that like a maiden name?
Or no, she's Indian.
Name?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Her name is like, yeah, what she's using is basically like her stage name, I think. Yeah, I agree, Jen. He said, deport all war pigs.
Yeah. Put them all in the same place, and if they like their war so much, we can help out.
Yeah, you should be on the front lines.
Drop a couple of things here and there.
Yeah, let me see if I can play this video. Sorry. So it's a quick one. It's a 37-minute clip of her. I'm going to share this for y'all to hear.
A 37-minute clip?
Yeah, it's kind of long.
It's 37 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's about 36 seconds too long.
It is, especially hearing from this bitch. Sorry.
All right.
And I feel kind of bad because I know Angry Tiger is not a big fan of cussing in podcasts. I'm trying to reduce it, but these people make me mad.
I don't blame you.
The first thing we have to do, social media accounts, social media companies, they have to show America their algorithms. Let us see why they're pushing what they're pushing. The second thing is every person on social media should be verified by their name. That's, first of all, it's a national security threat. When you do that, all of a sudden people have to stand by what they say, and it gets rid of the Russian bots, the Iranian bots, and the Chinese bots. And then you're going to get some civility when people know their name is next to what they say.
Accountability.
And they know their pastor and their family member is going to see it. It's going to help our kids, and it's going to help our country.
What about the CIA bots?
Yeah, I was just going to say, what about the American ones?
Yeah, and I will say that I stand by everything that I have said to you, you war pig bitch, and I'll say it to your fucking face.
Yeah, well, some people deserve it. If we're going to curse anyone, let's curse them.
Yeah.
Let's register everyone who votes too. Like, let's put their name up on every vote.
No.
How about that? We can do that.
No, that violates. It's dangerous for our democracy.
Oh, is it?
Register for voting? Did you say?
No, like she's saying everybody has to be verified. It's on social media. Well, let's just put make sure we'll broadcast everybody's name and how they voted too. We'll do that. That's the same thing she's saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
True.
Drizzle said, if Nikki Haley believes what she says, then she's as crazy as she looks. And I agree with that.
She's just reading a script, I think.
Yeah, she is. Of course, they all are owned by the same people. Yep. So in this same vein, a lot of y'all probably already saw this, but Governor Kathy Hochul says New York now conducting special media surveillance efforts to monitor hate.
We're getting a similar thing in Australia too. So yes, that's all just going through.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. If people think that this is all by coincidence, why is it all happening all at the same time? Almost like lockstep. Isn't that weird?
I was just going to say, let's say it together. 1, 2, 3.
Lockstep. Okay. So that was a bit out of step, but whatever.
We need to work on that.
Hey, we're doing it live like Bill O'Reilly. Damn it. Okay.
That was very off the cuff too, so.
Yeah.
We'll get it.
In response to escalating incidents of harassment, particularly against Jewish and Muslim communities, New York's Governor Kathy Hochul is today intensifying the state's counterterrorism measures and is boosting the controversial practice of surveillance social media platforms and therefore the speech of New Yorkers and other American citizens. So let's just break this down, because this tells you right here that World War III and what's happening in the Middle East is serving its 9/11 2.0, Patriot Act 2.0. It's circling back. We knew that it would, but the whole, even the phrasing, counter-terrorism measures. Are we watching Jack Bauer on 24? That's what it sounds like. And then it's very concerning. So then it says this measure follows ongoing tension in Israel and Gaza. You mean Israel and Gaza were done to cause the ongoing tensions and the laws that you're trying to put in right now? Hochul revealed plans for enhancing the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force personnel and assigning an extra $2.5 million to the state police.
I probably would, I would be against it anyway, but I'd probably be okay if it was just that, well, if that's what New York wants to do, then go fuck New York, But the problem is there's so many people in New York, they affect the entire goddamn state and therefore the entire goddamn country.
And these people, it's just a harbinger of what's to come. When you start seeing it in the traditionally more communist lockdown states like New York and California, well, the bell is tolling for thee also. And
they're actually they're hiding, how they hide behind things to bring things in, like it's for your public health, it's for safety and security,
it's for the kids,
protect children, it's protect animals, it's protect the volatile, it's protect the old. protect the disabled. They hide behind. They're bloody cowards. This is what they do. And just recently, I think I may have spoken about this before. I'll just quickly run over it. I wanted to get into my term deposits, etc., and there was a bunch of questions I had to answer before I had access. Yeah, so that was also under the guise of anti-laundering, anti-corruption. So that's 2004, I think it was. So yeah, whatever they do, just bring something out to cover it and to enable them to do whatever it is. I mean, I'm speaking the obvious here, but it's just when you see it and you can sort of name it, it's like anti-corruption, anti-this, anti-that. It's like, no, it's bloody anti-person, actually.
That's it, yes.
Anti-people.
So, Jen said, I called it when the war started. See, they said both. Yes, because they're saying like the anti-Muslim and the the biggie anti-Semitism. He said we can't even dislike anyone. Exactly, like
we have to love everyone. How counter to what they're doing too, isn't it? Trying to kill love and all that. But
I know. It's insanity.
Hypocrites!
But for some reason, it's been making me laugh. Especially, I think the part that's been making me laugh the most is because I really went after Nikki Haley quite a bit. And not long after that, and I wasn't the only one for sure, but it just wasn't long after that she's saying that everybody should have to be verified. So I thought that was funny. And that comes on my blocking by Jordan B. Peterson.
Well done.
Because I was calling him out as well, because they're both saying the same thing. They're acting like they're conservative. See, Jordan Peterson, conservative, ARC, Nikki Haley, conservative, and yet why are they asking for the same things that the World Economic Forum is asking for?
Gee, I wonder. It's like we're forming this digital army, because it's basically all we've got, really, is just come at them on the platforms, which is why they're trying to shut us down, because obviously we're threatening them.
That's it. Yeah,
they don't give us stuff about us. I think we've fairly well established that now.
Yeah, and they don't want other people seeing the memes and the things that make sense, that point out the hypocrisy, that point out the fact that they're exactly. They don't want that at all.
Yep.
Me more veteran right here, baby.
That means their house of cards will come falling down. It's pretty fragile.
It is fragile. Yes, it is, and that's kind of a white pill.
Yeah, I was about to say, hopefully we'll get to watch it collapse.
Clear pill, white pill, whatever you prefer to call it.
Yeah.
Clear pills aren't always black.
No.
Right.
All right.
Oh, wait, before we go, I wanted to, so Gentleman Skeptic said, Palestinians are Arabs who are Semitic. So who's being anti-Semitic here? Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
100%. And this is something that really Graceful talks about as well. She's like, honestly, it's just so stupid about the anti-Semitism, because it was, there's more people under that umbrella than just Jewish people that are in the Middle East.
As we've pointed out in the past, that the ADL was created to basically cover a crime and to use as a tool so that they can do whatever they want and not get criticized.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's not really for the good of the people.
Yeah.
Jen times have we said that now?
Jen said that memes are magic. White magic against the archons. Exactly.
Yes. So, and to piggyback on what Stella was saying, we are here for the good of the people, the Union of the Unknowns, and bringing you Not Your Mama's News.
Yes.
And
that's exactly why we're here.
With that, I think we should wrap this up.
Okay.
I would like to thank Ashley, Think Change Repeat, and thank you, Stella Q, and the pussycat I can see crawling around back there. That's that Tommy.
That's Tommy Kitten.
Tommy Kitten. All right.
Put it at alert.
So Ashley, where can we be found at all? Can we be found anywhere? Like maybe a website, or you're going to sort of tell everyone where we can be found?
Yes, Stella. I'm glad that you asked. You can find us at our website, unionoftheunknowns.com. That's our Linktree page. And I can be found representing the Union of the Unknowns Twitter account.
Get that cat butt out of here. Nobody wants to see that.
Over at Union Unknowns on Twitter.
It's the evil eye. So also, I will be on live with Brad at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, I believe it is. So
Tonight,
which will probably
okay.
be more like 11.
All right, so that's if
But,
it's 10:30, then that's a little under 2 hours from now. So heads up on that, peeps.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's a propaganda report.
We know we do have other things. We have subscriber feed if you like seeing us cutting it up. We have a newsletter. We have other stuff. So check us out on on unionoftheunknowns.com that she was talking about.
The Linktree.
The Linktree, you can
Yes.
find all these different
All the
ways
ways.
of getting in touch with us and poking at us and doing things. So anyway, thank you everybody. We had a great show. Thank you everybody who joined us.
Yeah,
in the
thanks
chat.
heaps, guys. It's awesome to have you here.
And
love you guts.
We are Union of the Unknowns, and we are out.
Oh, yes, we are. Okay. We will be out in
So while we're doing that, I'm going to say Drizzle said that World War III hasn't started yet. Alexa said it starts on the 23rd. And then Gentleman Skeptic said meme foo. And he said that Tommy Kitten is starting an only pause.
Not Your Mama's News has been a production of the Union of the Unknowns podcast. New episodes are available weekly on all your favorite podcasting networks.